Hi, it's me again, Rasheed, coach, speaker and author of Some Trader Putting Heart Back into Your Business. This is the series where I'm just sharing with you principles to help you build your business your way, build a business that you and your customers will love by following your heart and following your own values. Next up, we're up to principle 5, which is all about conversations. Now, customer conversion, which is what you want at the end of the day, you're wanting to win over customers, is all dependent on the right customer conversation. The question is, are you having the conversations, or are you having the right conversations? And what I mean by that is absolutely everything is a conversation or an opportunity for a conversation. What you're saying at meetings, at pitches, what your website says, what all of your literature says. Everything is a conversation. The challenge is that most of the time our conversations aren't clear, compelling, concise, coherent, interesting, or relevant enough to speak to the person who it is that we're trying to reach. So it's really, really important that you understand who it is that you're speaking to. And that takes us way back to the very first, our first and our second themes about clarity and about who your customers are. So this is really going to require you, stepping again into the mindset of the person who it is that you're trying to reach. And then remember that conversations is all about a dance. So one of the first things is make sure everything you say is clear, crisp, and concise. Think a little bit about how is it that you want your website to look if you were a customer of yours. How would you want that to look? And make sure you reflect that. So if your website is really long and rambling because you think that everybody needs to know all the ins and outs, but then when you take off the hat of being you realise, actually when I visit a website, I want it to be quite short and simple so I can call them up and then have a conversation with them. That's what we're talking about here. Make sure that everything is clear, crisp, and compelling. And then the next thing is really think a little bit about who are those people in your network and who is those people it is that you should be reaching out to. So in our last chapter, we talked a little bit about cooperation. So once you had mapped out the people it is that you know and the people it is that you're and the resources and the kind of support that you're wanting to reach, then you need to think about, well, what's the kind of conversation that I need to have with each of them? You might think, I need to speak to my ex-boss because he might actually know some people who are wanting to buy this online product of mine. What is the kind of conversation that's going to be apt? And again, what I want you to think about, what's the best time, what's the best medium, what's the best way to connect with that person. So you've got to think about that person. There's no point you sending an email to somebody who spends all the time on LinkedIn, ThinkIt or Facebook. So you really need to make sure that your conversations are apt for them. And also think about what kind of room is it that your ideal client is in, what kind of space is it that they have it. So you need to make sure that you're speaking their way in their language all of the time. So that's conversations, and within the book I actually share a few tips and so on about some of those tricky kind of conversations that often people have problems with, like when you've got to make a complaint, or some other of the more clever things that you can do, like putting people in touch. But the more you remember that business is all about the right kind of conversation, the more it is that eventually you're going to be able to convert people into business for your business.